This is the Ballback Pro Ball Return. It's a basketball training aid that passes the ball right back to you whenever you make a shot. I said, whenever you make a shot. You get the idea. And while it's a really great product, it's getting far less sales than the leading brand, and the reason why is because the listing sucks.
So today, we're gonna be revamping the listing for the Ballback Pro here. And just to be super clear, we're not actually going to be changing the listing for this product. Instead, we'll be showing you what we would do differently if this was one of our products. But before we begin, Lenny, I have to ask you, have you actually ever used one of these products before?
No, I do not consider myself a basketball player, so I have not used this before. I actually had to look it up because I didn't know what it did.
Okay, well.
Maybe you can tell me.
Well, good news is I have used one of these before. I grew up a basketball fan. So I will be representing the basketball community today.
Nice.
And feel free, I will help you out throughout the listing if you need any context. So,
all right, let's get into it.
All right, awesome. So we'll start here. As you can see, we really have our work cut out for us today. And here's why. I mean, starting with the title, it only has 6 keywords, and 2 of those are the name of the brand itself.
Right, so 4 really.
4 keywords, and very similar with the bullet points. The good news is they are using all 5 bullet points, so that's great. But the bad news is, just like the title, there's hardly any keywords being used here that are actually helping this product rank on Amazon. I think, Lenny, the first thing we need to do is to improve this listing's copy so that it can actually have a chance of showing up more often in the search results. And by the way, today we'll be using this listing optimization checklist just to help make sure we're covering all of our bases. You can download your own copy for free with the link in the pinned comment down below.
So now if we scroll down to the product description, this section is also looking pretty weak. Not only is there not enough text here, but I think the bigger missed opportunity is that there's no A+ content.
Right.
So we're gonna have to create that from scratch, which is gonna take some time to do, but I think adding A+ content will be one of the best things that we can do to improve the conversion rate on this listing immediately.
Yes, and you know what, speaking of conversion rate, let's actually take a scroll back up and look at the product images, or should I say product image, or actually, should I say extremely low quality product image. So obviously we desperately need to improve these images.
Yes.
Now, if this was one of our products, you know, we'd most likely hire a professional to do this for us. But today we're actually just gonna show you how you can do this all yourself, and it is possible to do your own product photography.
And then for the design part of that, one of us is going to edit some images in Photoshop. The other is gonna be doing it in Canva. So regardless of your design experience, anyone can do what we're gonna be doing today. Now, because this listing doesn't have one, the last thing that we're also gonna do is create a product video. Videos are extremely important for conversion, so we're gonna have some fun with this and record something that would work on this listing, but also something that would work in an advertising campaign. It's a great idea to create something for both. And so now that we know everything that needs to be done, let's start from the top by stripping down this entire listing and completely rewriting it.
Yes, but Lenny, before we actually do that, we're gonna have to overcome our first challenge in this video, and that's finding out which keywords should actually belong in this listing. So to do that, we can just run a quick reverse ASIN search to show us all the keywords that this product is currently showing up for on Amazon. Okay, now let's see how many keywords there are. Only 63 show up.
Yeah, not many.
And a lot of those are probably duplicates. So what, Lenny, I wanna see now is how many of these keywords are actually high volume keywords. What we can do in these filters here is add 500 as a minimum qualifier. And so what this will do is show us all the keywords in this list that have over 500 monthly searches for it. And it's only 21.
Only 21, yeah. So we're definitely gonna need a lot more keywords than that. How should we get them?
We can head back over to Amazon, search for our main keyword, and then pull up our top competitors, copy those ASINs, and then bring them back over into Keyword Scout. So just a quick pro tip, you can actually save this search for future use so that you don't have to always copy and paste these ASINs back into Keyword Scout. Okay, now Lenny, let's scroll down and see how many total keywords there are. 286, a lot better than
definitely better.
Our starting point of 60 something. But now let's add that same minimum qualifier to find those high volume search terms.
Right.
We can scroll down and we'll see 79 keywords. So that's a lot better than what we had. What was it, 21?
20, yeah,
20
exactly.
something? Okay, so this is a lot better list. As we know, Lenny, there's probably a lot of keywords in here that are irrelevant, like returns itself is kind of irrelevant. And so skills is another one. They're a brand that actually sells this product. We won't want to include that in our keyword list. But instead of manually going through and unchecking those, what we can do is use a shortcut or a filter here. And what I'll use is this organic ASINs count. By putting 2 in the minimum and clicking apply, basically what that's gonna show us is only keywords that at least 2 competitors are organically showing up for it on Amazon.
Now, keep in mind, 39 is not a huge amount of keywords. However, it is about double how many our listing originally had, and these are probably a lot more relevant and high quality. So I think this list will make a big improvement on the listing.
And then the last thing we can do is we can manually go through here and catch anything that the filter didn't pick up and just make sure we have a really clean, relevant list.
Okay, so the last step here, now that we've got our curated list, is just to add it to a keyword list that we can reference in the rebuild. Now, the next challenge that we face is figuring out how to weave as many of these top keywords into our listing. Now, to do this, we're going to be using Jungle Scout's listing builder. We'll come up to create new listing. We're going to start with an ASIN and paste in our ASIN here. Now, all we need to do is select the keyword list that we made earlier. So Ballback Pro, next step. And now we're ready to build out this listing. Now, immediately we can see that this listing is currently a 3 out of 10 for the listing optimization score, which is pretty poor. Now, this could be kind of difficult, but Jake, I would say that our goal should be to get this to at least an 8. What do you think?
It's not gonna be easy, but I think we can do it.
All right, where should we get started?
Well, right away, I mean, the title, it's gonna be the most impactful place that we can spend our energy on. So I'm just looking at it right now. There's only 1 keyword phrase being used currently. But if we use this filter just to look at the keywords individually, there's only 5 being used there as well.
Yeah. Either way, that's not many at all.
Not at all. So let me go back to the phrases real quick. So right away, I can see that they're using a keyword phrase that only has 1,500 monthly searches versus some of these up here, like basketball rebounder. That alone has 11,000 monthly searches. So that would be the better keyword phrase for us to use.
Definitely.
And so right before I do that, maybe I'll put in the name of the brand, Ballback Pro. And then instead of basketball ball return, we're gonna go rebounder.
Yeah, and already we've added about another 10,000 monthly searches there. So this is a great start. What should we do next?
Well, instead of trying to come up with the rest of it ourselves, let's just cheat a little bit here and use AI Assist, which will generate our title for us.
Great.
And right away, I'm just gonna replace it so we can see what it looks like. And we're using way more keywords already. Only 2 keyword phrases, but if we get rid of the phrases or just look at the keywords, we're now using 12. So it's a huge
big increase, over double what we had before.
Exactly. And now from here, we do wanna make our own adjustments to make sure everything looks good. And one thing I've kind of noticed right away, if we just look at the phrases itself, is that we're missing a few relevant keyword phrases, like basketball return. If I search for that on Amazon, we'll probably see, so products that look just like ours. These are our direct competitors. So that's a very important phrase versus maybe basketball training.
Yeah, that's a bit broader. That could be, I suppose, a number of different products, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and we can verify that right here. We're seeing basketballs, shooting aids, totally different products. So that's really important to find high volume keywords, but also really relevant keywords as well. So we should make sure that we get that word or that phrase even in here. So maybe here's how we could do that. We can remove training aid and put basketball here so that we do have that basketball return phrase there. And then maybe we'll actually move that training aid keyword right to the end here. And so that way we are still using more of our keywords and we have that phrase that we want in here as well. Now, the question you're probably asking now is like, why are we using the word basketball twice? You're not supposed to duplicate any keywords. And the reason why is because it makes sense here in this case. It would almost be hard not to use it. But what we can maybe do to make it look a little bit better is add a benefit right here that this product helps you with. So with improving your shooting. And then maybe that actually sparks some more ideas about adding more benefits and features to the end of this title here. So one thing we know about the product is that it rotates 90 degrees.
Yeah, it's always tricky. The goal here is we definitely want to be inputting as many keywords as we can to improve our search volume, but we're also trying to make it readable and appeal to shoppers, showing them the benefits and making it read well. So there's like a fine line there.
And then, one thing that we can see through our keywords, but also just understand the product a little bit more is that there are certain rims that it doesn't fit on. So we will want to say, just to ensure that customers know right away, it fits on all standard hoops. And then maybe because this is an issue I would imagine for a lot of buyers is the ease of installation. So one thing that we know is there's no tools required at all. We can add that here, no tools required. And then one of the greatest benefits of this product, I think, is that it's made in the USA. And that's like
really? Interesting.
Yeah, it's a really strong signal of durability. So I do think that's probably something we really want to call out here.
Yeah, I know that that's important to a lot of people. So I think that's worth adding.
And then probably just chop that off because it's going to get way too long if not. And honestly, I think 180 characters is the perfect amount.
Yeah.
It gives us in a range of 160 to 200. So we get that green check mark, but it's also readable. And I think this is a really good place to leave it. We can always come back later and edit it if we need to.
Great.
Now, after we got the green check mark for the title, we then moved on to the bullet points. Here, just like our title, we used AI Assist to lay down the foundation, but then went back and made minor edits throughout, really just adding in more keywords, but also making sure we're not repeating any keywords that were already in our title. Once we got the green check mark we were looking for, we then moved on to the product description. Except remember, we're creating A+ content. So that means we actually need to go out and take some images now, which is exactly what we did. We went down to the park right by our office, took some images, missed a whole lot of shots, and then came right back to the office. But now you may be wondering, how do we know what type of images to take? For that, we looked to our competitors for inspiration. We analyzed our competitors' listings, saving all the images that we thought really stood out, and then added them to an inspiration board where we jotted down notes of all the things we wanted to do for our listing. And now that we had some visual inspiration, there was just one more task we needed to tick off before actually going out and shooting our images. We need to know what customers actually care about. Because once we know what's important to them, we can then properly position our product in a way that helps them realize that our product can solve all of their problems. So to do this, you can open up one of your top competitors and read through the reviews. Now, to see if there are any common positive trends, you can open up all the 5 and 4-star reviews. And to see if there are any negative trends, you can open up all the 3, 2, and 1-star reviews. But honestly, rather than reading through all of this manually, you can do it much faster with the help of AI, just like we did.
And so let's take a look at the positive and negative trends here. Now, it doesn't really matter whether it's positive or negative. We really just want to understand what's important to the customer. Cool, so looking at the positive comments here, people are talking about the ease of installation. So that makes sense. It does what it's meant to. They don't want to be chasing after the ball. That makes sense. It works effectively. Customers with sloped driveways or even uneven surfaces especially appreciate how the ball is kept from rolling away. Oh, that's actually a really good point. I hadn't thought of that people that have sloped driveways, it's going to be even more valuable for them so that they're not constantly, running after the ball. Or I imagine even like parents would love this because they don't want their kids to be like running out onto the street chasing their ball. So I feel like that could be a good one to make sure that we call out potentially in an image or in our video.
Okay.
Great. If we come down to our negative comments here, people are talking about the durability and sturdiness of the product. So durability is important because I imagine you're going to be shooting a lot. So you don't want it to be breaking. Some people did report that it broke. So again, durability. Okay. A few customers were disappointed with compatibility issues, finding that the product did not fit their basketball hoop properly. Okay, so compatibility is another big one. We want to be really clear about what type of hoops this product does work with and doesn't. Okay, I think this is helpful. So now I think with this in mind, as well as our competitor inspiration, I think we've got everything we need to go out and take some photos.
Let's do it. Cue the montage.
To help us test this product, we asked Brandon from the customer success team to join us. We started this episode with a very poor listing that lacked keywords, images, and A+ content. We went away, worked on the listing, and now we're excited to present the fully revamped listing for the Ballback Pro Rebounder. Now with improved copy, new images, A+ content, and even a product video. And so now, Jake, let's talk through exactly how we got to all of these changes in the revamped listing.
Yeah, and let's start at the top here. So from the title and bullet points, the original listing only had 7 keywords, and we bumped that all the way up to 39 keywords. Now, in the bullet points specifically, we made sure not to call out out the features, but to call out the actual benefits that the customer will experience. So we answered really important questions that we found out through our review analysis. So how easy it is to install, that was a common customer question.
Yeah.
How it actually works and the compatibility. And then moving down now to the product description. The first thing we did here was we created a brand story. And the main messaging here, which we actually found out by just looking at the label that the product came in, is that it's made in the USA. And so that's typically a really strong indicator of durability. And so we really wanted to call that out because in reading customer reviews, a lot of customers just weren't happy with this product's durability. So in order to get out in front of that fear that a lot of customers just might have and maybe bounce from our product to buy a competitor's product, we wanted to really call that out in our listing that it's made in the USA, it is sturdy, and they should have really no issue with our product.
Right.
And then below that, here's where we actually created our A+ content, a little sneak peek into the images that we took. But we wanted to make this very visual and really speak to the customer, again, the benefits instead of features. But one of the greatest things about an A+ content section is that we can include a lot of keywords here. From the title, bullet points, and description combined, we went from only using 45% of our keywords in that keyword bank to now using 94% of our keywords. So that right there is a huge improvement that will help this product rank on Amazon. And then last thing we did here before the images is we made sure to add in back-end search terms so that we can really just add in keywords here that weren't important enough to add in our listing. We essentially just used our lower volume keywords that weren't already in the listing. And as you can see here, that gave us our green check mark because we used over 200 back-end search terms.
And so the other major component of the listing, of course, is the images. So let's scroll back up the top here and take a look at the images we took and why we took them. So starting here with our main image against a white background, we saw a few different variations of this from our competitors. Some of them, for example, showed the entire stand and the backboard or like much more of the rim and everything, whereas we opted to not show any of that. And the reason why is we just wanted our product to take up as much of the screen as possible. So we wanted to, essentially zoom in and show as much of the product as we could. Now, this image is fairly similar to some other competitors, but we did one key thing here to make ours stand out. And that, of course, is having the black rim instead of an orange one. So we did that because, of course, the orange rim is the same color as the rebounder, of course. So we didn't want that to blend together. Also, because everyone else is using an orange rim, that was another reason that we wanted to use the black rim to add contrast and make it stand out from all the other images. And I think it turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
So moving down to the next image here, and really for the rest of them, we wanted to utilize as much lifestyle photography as we could so that shoppers could see themselves using the product. And the other thing that we were trying to do with these is we really wanted to call out the benefits of the product, not just the feature. So in this one here, so the feature here is that the ball comes back to you so that you don't have to go chase it. But ultimately, the reason you're doing this is because you want to improve your shooting. You want to improve your accuracy. So that's what we called out. And you can see from the image, it kind of shows you visually how the ball comes back to you so that you do understand the feature as well. And a fun fact, when we shot this image, I really wanted Jake to be close to the hoop there. So he's actually standing on a ladder so that we could get that perspective. But I think it turned out pretty well in the end.
Absolutely. And then here with our third image, the main idea here was just to call out how easy it is to install. Again, going back to the reviews that we read, we found out that a lot of customers just weren't happy with how long it was taking products in this category to install and start playing. So because our product had that benefit of there's no tools needed at all, we just wanted to make that very clear. And again, that's more of a benefit to the user, not necessarily a feature.
With the next image here, the feature is that the rebounder can rotate around the hoop, but the benefit here is that you don't have to shoot from the one spot on the court the entire time.
And then moving here to our fifth image, again, going back to reading our competitors' reviews, a lot of people were unhappy that the product they bought just didn't fit their rim.
Yeah.
And so to avoid costly returns in the future, we wanted to make it very clear what rims that this fits, and that would be 18-inch standard size rims. So that's why we did this, just to try to avoid any costly returns in the future.
All right, now for these next two images, we were really honing in on the one point of this product being sturdy and durable. As Jake mentioned earlier, we saw that repeatedly in our review analysis of our own product, but also of competitor products. So we wanted to drill that in two ways. First one is the made in the USA, like you mentioned. And then we also just wanted to call it out in a second image here as well.
And then with our last image here, we thought this was just a fun tagline that again, we found out just by reading the product label here, shoot more, chase less. And it helps our branding as well and really stand out. But again, it's just a really good way of showing the product being used and exactly how it works. So good branding, but also just a great lifestyle image.
And then a fun fact for anyone that's wondering how we took some of these shots, particularly the ones where you see the ball in multiple locations, we essentially had the camera on a tripod and shooting in a high speed mode so that we're capturing multiple images. And then after the fact, we stitched those photos together so you could see the ball in different positions.
Now, hopefully you agree that we're leaving this listing in a far better place than where we originally found it. And remember, we're actually not done yet. We went out and filmed a fun product video that we think would go a really long way in increasing this listing's conversion rate. But first, if you want to optimize your listings like a pro, then make sure to get your own copy of this listing optimization checklist. You can download it for free with the link in the pinned comment down below. Okay, now the moment you all been waiting for, here's the totally legit video we created for this product.
Shoot, score, no more chase. Ballback Pros in place. Snaps on rim, fits all, from anywhere. Balls call. Made in USA, quality's key. Improve your play, set your game free. Shoot, retrieve, repeat with Ballback Pro. Victory's sweet. Hashtag game changer. Hashtag Ballback Pro.
Ballback Pro. Cue the montage.
And the reason why is because the listing sucks. Why can't I say that? Pew, pew.
Oh,
pew, pew.
I gotta run, so we'll have to record that part.
So we're gonna be filming on the move in
Yeah.
the car. Bye.